end recommendations that all children be vaccinated against flu, rotavirus, hepatitis A and B, some forms of meningitis, and RSV. And the judge ruled Kennedy likely violated procedures when he changed the members of the vaccine advisory panel. The judge halted their appointments and put any decisions they made on hold. Heather Bosch, CBS News.
Health and Human Services spokesman Andrew Nixon says HHS looks forward to the judge's decision being overturned. Long lines persist across the country due to the partial government shutdown affecting TSA agents at airports. CBS's Chris Van Cleve.
The staffing situation at airport security checkpoints across the country is getting worse. By last Friday, all of the roughly 50,000 TSA officers missed a paycheck. That day, more than 8% of the workforce called out sick. On Saturday, it grew to 9.25%. On Sunday, 1 in 10 officers called out. Having more than 10% of TSA screeners out sick is about 5 times a normal day.
FlightAware reports over 9,600 delays today and more than 4,100 cancellations in the U.S., partially due to weather. President Trump is encouraging other countries to help reopen the Strait of Hormuz.
The president said while some nations are ready to assist,
some are very enthusiastic about it.
He criticized other U.S. allies for their lukewarm response.
Some are countries that we've helped for many, many years. We've protected them.
And once again pushed for their support.
These people literally need it. 95% of their energy or their oil comes out of the strait, and they should be in here very happily helping us.
Stacey Lynn, CBS News, the White House.
The severe weather threat across the east has weakened for the rest of the day. Frost and freeze alerts are going up in the southeast over the next couple of days. Meantime, the southwest is in for midsummer-like heat.
Places in the American southwest will see record March heat later this week. It will reach a staggering 110 degrees in places. These men live in Phoenix.
It's too early. I'm not ready for hot weather. Let's give us a break.
Way too early. It's nice to get a reprieve from the heat for a few months, and it didn't happen this year.
Major League Baseball spring training games in Arizona have been moved from afternoons to evenings this week because of the hot temperatures. Jim Crisilda, CBS News.
This is CBS News.
It's one of the most successful law and justice programs in television history that continues to uncover the truth. 48 Hours, Saturday on CBS and streaming on Paramount.
You've got a big day, so you use Unstoppable Scent Boosters to give your laundry non-stop freshness. So no matter how long the day goes, you
can't stop this power, this walk, this pose, this strut, this look, this talk.
Your clothes will be so fresh you can confidently strut into that end of the day meeting like a
boss, 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 bosses. Let's talk business in my office.
Add new Unstoppables beads to your wash for 24-hour non-stop freshness so you can smell unstoppable.
Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest, the last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your
windshield wipers? eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying, just beautiful.
Millions of finds, each with a story. eBay. Things.
Good afternoon. A few snow showers still exist now through certain parts of Wilson County. Some in Rutherford this afternoon. Shouldn't slow you down too much. Now here's where it is slow. 65 north there at Vietnam Vets. They've been trying to clear up 2 separate wrecks in that area in the last few minutes. And then we got all this rush hour traffic headed up through there now on 65 north at Rivergate Parkway. Still slow go. Don't let a slipping transmission make things worse on your car or truck. Bring it to the transmission experts at Amco Transmissions on Nolensville Pike. I'm Commander Chuck. You're on time traffic.
From driveways to highways, SRM Concrete has the right mix, on time, every time. Locally grown, nationally known, family owned and operated. SRM is the name you trust. SRM Concrete, you call, we haul.
Rutherford weather.
Partly cloudy tonight with lows around 23. Daytime highs approaching 42. Tomorrow, lots of sunshine. I'm WGNS meteorologist Derek Height. Currently, it's 36 degrees.
We do it your way, Sir Pizza.
Your favorites can now be ordered online at sirpizzatn.com. Carryout and delivery are available. Just go to sirpizzatn.com and tap the location closest to you.
We're the Good Neighbor Network. FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro. FM 100.5 Smyrna. Audio and video streaming at wgnsradio.com.
From the first pitch to the final buzzer, this is where the conversation starts. All sports talk on WGNS and Big G TV, covering the Preps, MTSU, news from Tennessee and nationwide. Now, here's all sports talk on the Good Neighbor Network.
And a pleasant good afternoon. Welcome into All Sports Talk on this beautiful spring afternoon with snow flurries around and temperatures dipping down probably into the 20s tonight. But you know what cold weather means. That means it's March Madness time. Dick Plummer with you. My guest on the phone today is Mark Reeves, who is the Executive Secretary of the TSSAA. And Mark, welcome in, and March Madness is in full swing.
It is definitely that. Well, I appreciate you having me, and certainly an exciting time of the year.
Yeah, and a busy time of the year for you and everybody at the TSSAA offices, underway with our postseason tournaments. The girls' state tournament just concluding on Saturday, and boys' state getting ready to open bright and early on Wednesday morning. What was your assessment of the girls' tournament as far as the way everything worked out?
Well, we had we were discussing that a little bit this morning. I had a little debrief with some of our staff members that are involved in the execution of that event, and thought it was a great tournament just from an operations standpoint. But more importantly, I thought it was a great tournament from a competitive standpoint. There were some great games last week. You know, a number of those that came down to the wire. That's what you want at the culminating event. You want some close games if you can, and some high-level games, some players that really put out some great individual performances, and we had a little bit of all that. Great atmospheres, loud crowds. That's truly what makes it special. So we thought it was a great tournament, and look forward to this week, and hope that it can do the same.
Yeah, and a lot of, as you mentioned, a lot of very competitive games and not too many blowouts. Now, you're going to get a blowout every now and then, but this tournament, I think there was one overtime game. Several other games were decided by less than 5 points, including a couple of the championship games. So the fans really got their money's worth, didn't they?
They really did. And, you know, you had maybe some upsets and just some really, really neat human interest stories that were emerging, and just man, it was a fun week. It really was. It's a long week, but it was a fun week.
You had several kids who had received Miss Basketball awards earlier, and I think you folks sponsor that also. And I think the awards were at the Tucker Theater before the girls' tournament started. But the fans got to see several of the very best female basketball players in the state of Tennessee.
Sure did, and you know, that event at Tucker Theater is a great event, and you know, you get to see the best of the best up there. Know we're going to see a number of those girls, you know, playing at the next level, you know, in the years to come, and so you know, it's pretty neat to watch them do their thing and be celebrated one night, and then turn around and put on those jerseys and watch them play the next day or the days after that. So it's certainly a lot of fun.
I was thinking driving in to the studio this afternoon in a pretty heavy snow flurry of, and I don't remember the year, but it was in either the late 80s or the early 90s when we had a rare March snowstorm hit Middle Tennessee. And I mean a big one, 10, 12, 14 inches of snow fell, and I'm thinking it was in the week of the girls' tournament. Do you go back that far to remember that?
I don't know. That would have been before my time with the association, but we did have not something that was quite as impactful as far as snow amounts. But we had I'm going to say it may have been about 8 to 10 years ago, we had a snow event that forced us to have to postpone our championship games, if I remember correctly, that were scheduled for Saturday. This was when we still had 3 classes, and I felt like that the bus superintendent for a school system, we were up at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning as it was snowing, trying to drive around Murfreesboro assessing roads, and made the decision to postpone because the campus, there was not going to be an opportunity to treat parking lots or anything like that by the time we were about to start. And so we ended up playing some of those championship games, if I remember correctly, on Sunday. Or maybe it happened on Friday and we had to push the schedule up a day, but I know we had to cancel a day of competition, which that's always a challenge, but everybody understood.
Yes, and you would think that with an indoor sport you wouldn't have that problem, but I remember that when the big snowstorm hit, and we were still working with the TSSAA on our radio network. Mr. Haney was still with us then, and we started getting calls from all over the state because we had several radio stations that were going to come in and cover their hometown team, and they couldn't get here. And so they were calling Mr. Haney, and we arranged to send out feeds of the games to those stations that couldn't get here. Now, I think all the teams were able to get here. Some of them may already have been here when the storm hit. So the tournament went off, but the attendance was very limited. And I know some of the folks who cover these teams couldn't get here. So, but we made it through.
Yeah, those situations can be challenging. We've had a number of those over the years at a number of our championships. Most of which are outdoor events, but every now and then you'll have that indoor event that just simply the travel makes it very difficult, if not impossible. I think we had our wrestling championships in 2021, I believe, 2021. We had to postpone completely for a week because of a 8 to 12 inch snowstorm that came and was projected to come. Thankfully we had plenty of warning and facility availability the following week. We were able to pivot. That was in Chattanooga. But yeah, if we had not had availability at a facility, the following week it would have been a mess. And that's something we talk about quite frankly with our spring championships. We bring so many schools to the central site, with 8 in Division I, 4 in Division II for baseball, softball, soccer, etc. There's a year coming, hopefully not anytime soon, where if we continue to do that, we're not going to be able to finish those tournaments, before. That's almost happened to the last 5 years with the extended rain that comes. So it's always a challenge, but thankfully we've been able to get them in, but hopefully, obviously, we're not going to have that problem this week for the boys' tournament, and we're looking forward to it.
Well, I was wondering, were you in your present position during the COVID years, or was Mr. Childress still heading things up then?
Mr. Childress was still in the driver's seat. I was an assistant director, and part of my responsibilities at that point were sports medicine, and so, during that time, we had a lot of open dialogue, with the governor's office as restrictions were being imposed and taken away, et cetera. So we were working pretty close together on all of that. But man, when you think about challenging situations and things that Mr. Childress had to endure in his tenure, that had to be one of the toughest. That was certainly a challenging time.
No doubt about that. I know a lot of our listeners would like to know a little bit more about you. So tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been involved in high school athletics, and how you kind of moved up the ladder to your present position.
Well, sure. I'm a native of Springfield, Tennessee. Went to Springfield High School. Graduated from the University of Tennessee at Martin with a degree in education, secondary education science. And so I taught biology and physical science at my alma mater, Springfield High School. Was the head wrestling coach there for 9 years. I got into administration earlier than expected, and so was assistant principal there the last couple of years at Springfield. Ended up at East Robertson High School, and in 2008 there was a position that came open at TSSA. I just happened to stumble on it when I was on the website looking up the phone number. I was going to call and ask an eligibility question, and job description was something I was intrigued with, and made a couple of phone calls to Mr. Ronnie Carter and Mr. Dean Beck and talked a little bit more about it, ended up applying for a position, and I was fortunate enough to be selected for that in 2008. So 18 years now, I guess, with the association, 14 as an assistant director. I was hired by Mr. Carter and spent a year with him, and then 13, 14 more with Mr. Childress. So it's been the honor of a lifetime to just serve in this role, serve for this organization.
You know, talking about stumbling upon a job, now sometimes the little things are life-changing, career-changing, and you never know when to expect them or when they're going to happen. And I know I had something like that in my own case, but it's something that probably is unplanned, but it worked out perfectly.
Absolutely, and I give all credit to God. Those are one of those things that, and I've thought about this as I've gotten older, when you think about those life-changing decisions or opportunities or, happenstance meetings, conversations, etc. Truly, they're the things that probably have shaped the direction of my life as much as anything else have been things that you might not have seemed like a really big deal, kind of like making that phone call or trying to find that phone number that day, to TSSA. If that eligibility issue had not come up at that time, who knows, I might not have ever known about that job, opportunity. There's so many things like that, and, God has blessed me to find some of these opportunities and to be connected with some folks that have truly made a great impact on my life, and certainly I've been very blessed in my career path. I wouldn't trade a minute or a day for my experiences, both in the school setting and now with TSSA.
Yeah, and you control an organization that supervises all, not only high school, but middle school athletics in the state of Tennessee. And I know the membership of TSSA has got to be in the hundreds. So you're working a lot of folks with from as they say, from Memphis to Mountain City and every place in between.
That's right, and we're certainly blessed to do that. It is close to 1,000 member schools now, and really the catalyst or the biggest area of growth has been middle schools, and so much of that credit goes to Richard McWhorter, Emily Crowell in our offices having the vision really 10 years ago to 10 plus, it may be a little longer than that now, to expand the opportunity for middle school championships, which we have certainly grown to have a full menu of those, and with that, probably 300 plus member middle schools that have joined in that time to, try to gain a shot at the title. And so really, when you look around the country, it's somewhat unprecedented. I don't think there's anyone else that's doing what we're doing to the level that we're doing with the middle school championships that we offer. And certainly proud of that. That brings so many other member schools into the fold to not just compete for championships, but to be operating under the same umbrella and fundamental principles that really the organization was founded upon.
Okay, we're just about out of time in this first segment. I did want to get into the membership thing, and because there are new schools opening up virtually every year across the state of Tennessee, and you're adding people all the time. But we've got to take a commercial break, and hope you'll stick around with us for another segment, and we'll talk a little bit more about TSSAA. I'm visiting with Mark Reeves, the Executive Secretary of the Tennessee Secondary Schools Athletic Association, and we'll have more after this.
Every team knows which play can be a winning move. I'm State Farm Agent Andy Womack, here to help life go right by combining your home and auto insurance. Call me today at 615-890-0850. It's a winning move that saves you time and money. Your ride, your stuff. You live with them together. I'm State Farm Agent Andy Womack. It's smart to protect them together, to help life go right. Give me a call at 615-890-0850 and let me help you save by combining your auto and renters.
Whether you need general vehicle upkeep and maintenance or a complete vehicle overhaul, Hall's Auto Care is here for you. We're locally owned and operated by Greg Hall and have been in business since 2014. You'll get excellent service and trustworthy advice with Hall's Auto Care. A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. We're ready to help get you safely on the road. Hall's Auto Care, 907 Ridgely Road, just off Broad Street behind Chili's. Online at hallsautocare.net. Hall's Auto Care.
When we started our flagship restaurant on Broad Street, who would have known we'd have grown and touched each four corners of Rutherford County? Now we have locations in South Murfreesboro, Smyrna, West Murfreesboro, and the original on 860 Northwest Broad Street.
Swing by one of our 4 locations after a game for some good food and fun.
Thank you, Murfreesboro, Smyrna, and Rutherford County.
Thank you to our patrons and customers.
Thank you.
Good food and fun.
It's time for the Doug Young Educator of the Month, proudly sponsored by City Tile and Floor Covering on Spring Street. We're over at Siegel Middle School to celebrate a teacher who really goes the extra mile. 7th grade ELA specialist Eva Carroll. As part of the 7C team, Miss Carroll does more than just teach English. She helps her students find their own voices. She is known for making literature click and for creating a classroom where every kid feels like they belong. Whether she's collaborating with her team or mentoring a student, her passion for Siegel Middle is impossible to miss. For her incredible heart and hard work, our Doug Young Educator of the Month, sponsored by City Tile and Floor Covering, receives a gift certificate to Toots and a beautiful plaque from L&K Trophy. Congratulations, Eva Carroll at Siegel Middle School, and thanks for all you do. To nominate your favorite teacher, go to wgnsradio.com/educator.
Lace up your best kicks for a night of impact benefiting First Shot. Join us for the annual Sneaker Ball, presented by Venture Express. Spend Sunday, April 26th with NFL Hall of Famer and Super Bowl MVP Marcus Allen. The event kicks off at 6 with a VIP meet and greet at 5. Reserve your table today. Call Coach Andy Herzer at 615-631-5312. We'll see you at the Sneaker Ball, benefiting First Shot on April 26th.
Good afternoon, T-Dot. Still out here trying to clear a couple of accidents. Still a little bit slow here on 65 northbound, right at Rivergate Parkway. Now it's heavy over here with volume 40 east and westbound, trying to get past Fessler's as it continues to build out through the Mount Juliet area on I-40. Watch for a little bit of radar out through there again as you travel through certain parts of Wilson County. Hey, STR Towing and Recovery says call them 24/7 if you need a tow for a car or a big truck. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
It's all sports talk from the Good Neighbor Network, FM 1019, 100.5, AM 1450, WGNSradio.com, and Big G TV.
And welcome back into All Sports Talk. Dick Palmer with you. Mark Reeves, Executive Secretary of the TSSAA, is my guest this afternoon. And Mark, we just heard during that commercial break about the local Teacher of the Month at middle school, Siegel Middle here. And, you know, teachers are really the backbone of everything that you guys do. You've been there. You know about all that.
110% correct. Absolutely. Teachers are the backbone of everything that we do and we stand for. It's education-based athletics is really what we're trying to promote. And to be quite honest with you, the need to push the fundamental principles that drive education-based athletics is really greater than ever. Not to take away from these individuals, but more than 40% of those who are coaching in the organization are not teachers. So in order to actually have these programs, because we have more and more and more of them, you need more and more people who are outside the education setting just to fill those spots. But with that, in many cases, comes a need to make sure that we are promoting the values that go with education-based athletics, keeping athletics in its proper perspective, and prevent the exploitation of student athletes for athletic purposes. There's a culture there that teachers carry. They see that value, and going into those buildings every day and loving on those kids.
Well, and I mentioned before the break that we're adding new schools all the time. And not only does that mean a little more work for you folks, because you've got to get them certified, you've got to put them in a district, they got to put them in a region, and this just is something that probably was not happening maybe 10, 15 years ago, but the number of new schools that we're adding is just fantastic.
Yeah, it is, and it certainly has, produced a lot of, I'd say challenges on the staff, and our organizational structure and how we manage, all of that certainly looks a little different than what it looked like, 10, 15 years ago, and that's out of necessity. But I say all that, it gives me great opportunity to say this. We've got an unbelievable staff. I cannot say enough great things about the people who come to work at 33 Lebanon Pike every day. Our staff is incredible. You won't find a harder working group that can see the big picture and can manage the massive amount of information that it takes and logistics that it takes in order for us to do what we do, and with that, working alongside all these member schools, we don't do it alone. We're working side by side with the athletic directors, the coaches, the administrators, the game officials, supervisors of officials associations to make it all possible. It's a heavy lift for everyone, but it's worth it.
Yeah, and of course the backbone of your organization, not only your staff, but your board of control and your legislative council, and you might differentiate between those two groups.
Yeah, and so anytime we have the opportunity to really talk about the governance of the organization, it's time well spent, because I'm not sure that many who are outside of our walls really understand it fully. Every time we get a chance to talk about this with our membership, we even want to make sure they understand. So our Board of Control and our Legislative Council, they're both boards that are elected by the membership. They're school administrators that represent different parts of the state. So we have 9 athletic districts, and there's a representative from each one of those 9 athletic districts, a school administrator that serves in that capacity. And then we have 3 independent school representatives, one the East, Middle, and West, for a total of 12 on each group. The Board of Control is really the body that governs the general operations of the organization, the finances, the personnel, disciplinary issues, etc., appeals, eligibility appeals, while the Legislative Council governs all the eligibility rules of the association. So anything that is in our handbook, our bylaws, transfer rules, etc., sports calendar, that falls under their purview. But there are a number of issues that somewhat touch both of those bodies, where there's need to discuss those amongst both. But those, I can't say enough great things about those men and women as well who serve on those groups and really lead the organization through what really in the last few years has been some of the most challenging times.
Yeah, and there's been some recent changes or adjustments or modifications, whatever you want to call them, to some of the rules regarding eligibility? And I know you've got a one-time transfer rule that has generated a lot of conversation lately, and you might tell us where that stands.
Yep. So we don't have enough time to talk about the history, but really for the last 3 years, it's been discussion about the evolution of transfer rules, and with that, a one-time transfer that must occur in between school years will become state law beginning this coming school year. So students at the middle school level, at the high school level, will have one opportunity to transfer as long as that transfer occurs in between school years, provided that they meet all other eligibility requirements. But it's a topic that's not just unique to Tennessee. I was actually on the phone with a reporter from the Wall Street Journal on my way home today doing a story about this very thing that states are seeing across the country, where there is a growing call for more opportunities for students to have choice in where they go to school, and taking away some restrictions that go with that.
So the legislature of the state of Tennessee has played a role in this, right?
They have, but our membership's been involved in the decision-making, too. That Legislative Council and Board of Control that we just discussed, we've been discussing this for 3 years, and the bottom line was that going into last year was a survey with our schools. About 60% of our principals were in favor of a one-time unrestricted transfer, as opposed to the transfer rules that we have right now, which was a one-time transfer that was conditional on the other schools saying that it was not for athletic or disciplinary reasons. We had that. We thought that was our baby step into this expanding of transfer opportunities, but it created so much, I would say, contentious issues amongst some schools that our principals just said, hey, look, we'd rather just have one time, one unrestricted, or at least 60% of them said that. So when that happened, we started working in collaboration with our state legislature to say, okay, if this is the direction that we're going to go, they, in essence, were going to write a law whether we wanted to go that way or not. They enabled us to sit at the table with them, collaborate with them, and help actually draft the legislation that ultimately passed.
Well, Mark, there's been such a flux in collegiate athletics with the NCAA and a lot of the issues that they've had. And it seems to me, and you tell me if I'm wrong, it seems to me that the colleges, the universities, want to be more like the pros. And now it seems to me that it's a kind of a trickle-down effect, and the high schools want to be more like the colleges. Is this a coming trend?
Well, I would agree with you in the fact that there is a trickle-down effect, that what you see at the collegiate level, the absence of transfer restrictions that has evolved, has certainly, some expectations have trickled down to the high school level, where parents feel like, well, if they're being transferred to collegiate level, then we should be able to at the high school level. There is some of that. When you dig deeper into what has happened at the college space, I would argue that college sports are professional sports now. I wish that they would just call it what it is, which is fine. I'm not saying there's anything immoral or wrong about that, but it's professional sports. And what has driven the dissolution of transfer restrictions at the collegiate level has been the court system. It's not because the NCAA or the member schools thought that was a good thing or think that's a good thing. It's because the courts have tied the hands of the NCAA and basically ruled against them in a number of cases that is preventing them from being able to enforce the rules they want. Part of what we hope to be able to do, in helping craft the legislation, was to write into state law what the three fundamental principles of TSSAA and education-based athletics are. So that if those transfer restrictions are challenged in court, we can certainly say, look, the statute, we are different high school sports, middle school sports are not professional sports and shouldn't be treated that way.
Well, that's good clarification, and you certainly don't want the courts to get involved in any of this, because I know you've had problems with stuff going to courts before.
Oh yeah, and again, that's probably never going to go away. But what I feel like our member schools, and really I would say the large majority of the general public would believe, is that we are different. Student athletes are it's a education-based athletics is a sacred space. It is not professional sports. It's not college sports. It's not the youth sports that so much of that culture is infiltrating. A pay-to-play type mentality is infiltrating into this space. It's all about teaching students to become the best version of themselves through the platform of education-based athletics, and that you can't do that if kids are allowed to go to a different school every time they get mad at somebody.
And in all of those sports that you sponsor, you've got some rabid fans, and it's something that you have to deal with when things get out of hand. But thankfully, you've been able to control that situation for the most part.
Well, yeah, we have done our best, and when I say we, I mean our member schools have done our best to try to really create the culture that is conducive for education-based sports. There's still plenty of folks out there that maybe have things a little bit out of whack. But our member schools came with a proposal to institute penalties for fans who are ejected from contests. So, again, the organization is governed by itself, by the membership, and the member schools said, "Hey, we need a penalty for fans who are ejected from contests so that we can help curb this behavior, so that we can go back to our school boards and say, okay, here's a penalty TSSAA is imposing upon us. Let's pass that on to the parent. Let's make sure that we're making them accountable, or parent or fan or whoever that might be." And so that's something that we've seen over the last 2 or 3 years that hopefully has help drive some positive behavior.
You folks sponsor a number of championship events for your sports, and you're adding new. I think flag football's come on board recently.
Girl ball will have its first official state championship this year. Boys and girls lacrosse had their first championships last year. So yeah, those activities and opportunities are expanding rapidly. And if you look at girls flag specifically, I think we went from about 50 or 60 schools prior to last year that had the sport, and that jumped to nearly 140 last year, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not quite sure what our number is this year, but you're seeing a rapid growth and interest in girls flag, and you're seeing that across the country.
Okay, Mark, we've got another break coming. Could you stay with us for another short segment?
I can. Okay,
great. There's a couple other things I wanted to get into with you, but we're going to take a break now, and we'll be back to conclude things. My guest is Mark Reeves, Executive Secretary of the TSSAA. Stay with us. You're listening to All Sports Talk.
Jennings & Ayers Funeral Home has served Murfreesboro families with compassion and care since 1880. As a family-owned funeral home, we're committed to honoring every life with dignity through traditional services, cremation options, and pre-planning that gives you peace of mind. For over 140 years, we've been here when it matters most. Visit JenningsandAyers.com. Jennings & Ayers Funeral Home, honoring life and comforting families since 1880.
You're listening to the flagship station for Blue Raiders sports.
On 20, 15, 10,
5. Touchdown, Middle Tennessee.
Play up and score. Middle Tennessee football, basketball, and baseball. Yeah, we got them.
You're listening to the flagship station for Blue Raider Athletics. I'm Chip Walters. Hear the games here on News Radio WGNS.
Middle Tennessee win. Raiders win the championship.
Your source for the Big Blue and the Borough. News Radio WGNS.
This is Chip Walters, and I'm honored to be your 2024 MTAR Realtor of the Year. I'm with Exit Realty Bob Lamb & Associates, and like many of you, I've seen the real estate market shift and change. People often ask, Chip, what's really going on? Well, that's a great question, and I believe in answering with solid, factual data. So let's cut through some of the noise. I invite you to reach out. Let's have a conversation about your real estate goals and the current market trends in your neighborhood. You can find all my contact information at choosechip.net.
Clark's Auction Company will get you top dollar for your property.
Auctions are easy, fast, and profitable.
You have a staff that comes to your home. They walk you through it. It's been my experience. What I thought I should get for my home, I got much more for it.
Call Parks Auction and Realty or visit parksauction.com.
Clark's Auction Company will get you top dollar for your property.
Parks Auction Company, committed to auction excellence.
Told it to you, 27.5.
Next on All Sports Talk, it's the Blue Raider Insider Report with Chip Walters of Exit Realty, Bob Lamb & Associates.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. There is more basketball coming for the Lady Raiders of Middle Tennessee. They are part of 3 Conference USA women's teams that earned bids to the Women's Basketball National Invitation Tournament, the WNIT, following their regular season campaigns. Middle, along with FIU and Sam Houston, will be extending their seasons with games that can start as early as Thursday, March 19th, but not for the Lady Raiders. Middle Tennessee has gotten a bye into the second round and will face the winner of St. Bonaventure and Drexel, who will play on Thursday night. Middle Tennessee, their second round game will happen either Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday, and it would be at the Murphy Center. So be on the lookout for information coming there. Speaking of the women's side, Missouri State will make its first NCAA appearance since 2022. They earned the number 16 seed in the Fort Worth Regional 3 and will head to Austin to face Stephen F. Austin in the first 4 round on Wednesday evening. And again, the Missouri State was a winner over Louisiana Tech in the conference finals. Tech has gained an invitation to the Women's Basketball Invitation Tournament, the WBIT, following their regular season campaign. They went 17-1 in league play, but lost to Missouri State in the Conference USA Tournament Championship. On the men's side, it looks like the end of the line for the Blue Raiders season after they dropped a game against Louisiana Tech in the quarterfinals. The Kennesaw Owls knocked off Louisiana Tech in the Conference USA Championship game on Saturday night, and now Kennesaw makes its second NCAA tournament and first appearance since 2023. They earn a number 14 seed in the Big Dance, and they will face Gonzaga on Thursday in the first round in Portland, Oregon. Basically a home game for Gonzaga. It marks the first time that the Owls have clinched an automatic bid to the NCAA tournament as a member of Conference USA. They will square off at 9 o'clock Thursday night Central Time at the Moda Center in Portland, Oregon. The game will be shown nationally on TBS. For the second year in a row, Conference USA will be represented by 2 teams in the NIT. Liberty will travel to number 3 George Mason, while Sam Houston will head west to take on number 1 New Mexico. The Flames will face the number 3 George Mason Ball Club at 5 o'clock Tuesday in Fairfax, Virginia. That'll be on ESPN2, while Sam Houston will take on New Mexico at 8 o'clock on Wednesday. That will be on ESPN+. Middle Tennessee baseball, the bullpen did a good job as left-hander Colin Kerrigan entered the game with 1 out in the 8th inning and the tying run standing on first base and shut them down. Middle Tennessee took the game against Kennesaw by a score of 4-3 and took 2 out of 3 in the series against the Kennesaw Owls, winning 13-2 on Saturday and 4-3 on a blustery day at the ballpark on Sunday. The Blue Raiders have a bonus home game on Tuesday as they take on Murray State at 4 o'clock. That game was scheduled to be in Murray, Kentucky, but their field is undergoing renovations, not quite ready, so the Racers will be coming back to Murfreesboro. Blue Raiders softball dropped all 3 over the weekend to Liberty. Men's golf finished in 9th place after 3 rounds at the Forest Heights Country Club in Statesboro, Georgia in the Schenkel Invitational, and men's tennis is playing Chicago State this afternoon at the Adams Tennis Complex. That's it for today, folks. We'll have another update tomorrow right here on the Big G, WGNS.
It's all sports talk from the Good Neighbor Network, FM 101.9, 100.5, AM 1450, wgnsradio.com, and Big G TV.
Welcome back into All Sports Talk. My guest today, Mark Reeves, Executive Secretary of the TSSAA. And Mark, from that Blue Raider Sports Report we just heard, there's a lot going on in sports here, and also with TSSAA getting ready to get into the spring sports.
Oh, no doubt about it. And, gosh, it makes me certainly want to give a shout out to our friends at MTSU who have accommodated us for so many years. In many cases, us working together with them to help navigate the postseason tournament schedule and conference schedules, and they've just always been so accommodating. So certainly appreciate that. But then, you look around and we do have spring sports starting. We talked about some of them, and there's so many that are offered in the spring, and our coaches, the athletic administrators, all of those that are involved in just the logistics that it takes, the officials, the assigners, the athletic trainers. There's so many moving parts just to have a regular season, at the school level. And so those who are getting things underway, in many cases managing, the end of winter sports. Some of them, getting spring started while they were finishing up, postseason tournaments in basketball, those who went deep in the postseason. So those men and women that work those tireless hours to make that happen, man, you just can't say enough good things about them.
Yeah, we talked about girls flag football earlier. Is that a spring or is that a fall sport?
Spring. And when you look around the country, it kind of depends on what state you're in. There's some states that play in the fall. Florida and Tennessee are the two in the southeast that I'm aware of that play in the spring. More so because, and we surveyed our schools, and for the preference, it was overwhelming majority wanted to go spring, but probably more so because a number of our coaches who coach girls flag are coaching tackle football. When you look at that infrastructure of those who are running those programs, it's more conducive for a larger number in Tennessee to do that in the spring, even though that certainly puts some strain on your facilities and all the other activities that are going on.
Yeah, as you've already alluded to, there are a ton of things that have to get done when you add a new sport, not only on the school level, but on your level at TSSAA.
It really is. There's a lot, and just every addition, you've got to account for all the supporting parts, and so. I mentioned it's a heavy lift. It's been a heavy lift for our office as we've expanded, but it's a heavy lift for our schools as well.
You talked about your association with MTSU a few minutes ago. Of course, they've been hosting the basketball championships for a number of years. Tell us how the other championship events are awarded or placed, and how that maybe changes from time to time.
Well, Well, that's a great question, and it really somewhat depends on the sport. And our board of control, mentioned one of those governing bodies, dictates, has the final say in what the methodology would be for site selection. For some sports, in some periods, they will give the office the discretion to negotiate or find and secure those locations. In others, they prefer to put those out for bid. There are a number of factors that go into the decisions for that as to whether or not to bid those out or to extend existing contracts, or we have some events that operate on a year-to-year basis. People don't necessarily always bend over backwards to want to host our events. There's a lot that goes into that, so we don't necessarily have people that are falling over themselves to take on what it takes to do it. So it's quite the logic puzzle when you put it all together to even just keep up with those, what's on contract, what's not, what needs to be extended, what needs to be bid out, who's still willing to have us. I mean, there's a lot that goes into that.
Yeah, and I know the Division II basketball tournaments just moved this season from Tennessee Tech in Cookeville to the new arena in Clarksville. I was wondering what your thoughts were on how that transition worked out.
No, it's fantastic, and certainly I don't mean that in any negative way. Tennessee Tech, they've been phenomenal partners and great hosts for all of our events. But that is an example of an event that has not been on any type of long-term contract. It's just really been operating on a year-to-year contract, and the folks at the F&M Bank Arena there in Clarksville, Montgomery County had approached us several years ago when that facility was being planned, with expressing interest about hosting an event if the opportunity ever arose, and this was a good year to test those waters with the schedule that they had and the schedule that we had, and certainly it was a great event showcasing a wonderful facility that probably a lot of people across the state didn't really know about until they came for that tournament. But yeah, they did a great job hosting. They've got a great venue.
One of the highlights of the spring sports season, of course, is what we call the spring fling, and I think, if I recall correctly, that was kind of an idea put forward by Dean Hayes, who was the track coach here at Middle Tennessee for years and years, and a nationally recognized coach at that, and it was an idea to bring all of the championship events into one place at one time.
You're exactly right on your history. Mr. Hayes and Mr. Carter, Ronnie Carter, sat down and kind of mapped that vision out 30 plus years ago to create something that has really been a guiding light for a lot of state associations, and a number of states have inquired and expressed interest in doing something similar to what was started there many years ago, but I'm not sure anyone has ever been able to pull that off or actually make it happen. A lot of that is simply because the facilities the facilities there in Murfreesboro are phenomenal, and but you've got a kind of a perfect storm of a city that's certainly large enough to accommodate the massive numbers of people that come into town with the hotels and restaurants, etc., but small enough so that we're not too small a fish in the sea. I think that could be a problem in some cases where maybe the infrastructure might be there in a bigger city, but not necessarily the availability and the volunteers that are needed to pull off such an event. And spring flings even changed since that was conceived 30 plus years ago, when you were only talking about soccer, baseball, softball, track and field, and tennis. But now you've got girls flag football, you've got boys and girls lacrosse, you've got middle school track and field, you've got middle school softball, you got middle school baseball. You've got a lot more sports that are spring sport culminating events, and so we've had to reimagine that concept to some degree to be able to pull all of those off within a 2-week period.
Yeah, and the location of spring fling now, it seems to be the perfect spot, because it's not just occurring in one venue, but you have to have several venues. You can't play 2 softball games on the same field at the same time. So you've got a softball complex out at Sportscom. Then baseball, you've got Middle Tennessee, of course, for your championship games, but you've got all of the high schools in this area who have outstanding baseball facilities, and you can go there. And of course, you've got the soccer fields, the new tennis courts. So there's just a lot of different venues here, and people have to have a map to figure out how to get from one place to another.
There's a lot going on, certainly, those couple of weeks, and a lot of different places. And it's even something that we have to lay it all out ourselves to know where we're supposed to be from one day to the next.
So the last thing I wanted to talk about, we've got about a minute and a half. Officials. I understand there is a need for more young officials, and we've heard this for the last 4 or 5 years. Are there really a lot of more young people trying to get into officiating, or is that a dying breed?
Well, there's absolutely certainly a need, and we've had about 1,000 new ones that have applied. We got about 6,000 officials across the state. Had about 1,000 new ones over the last couple of years. The challenge is keeping them. It's not just recruiting, but it's retaining. And we have actually just created a new position for a gentleman by the name of David Ewell. He is our new Director of Official Services for TSSAA, and that is, one of David's kind of primary responsibilities in charge is to, develop strategies to recruit, retain, educate those officials across the state to prepare that next generation.
Yeah, and they've got to be kind of thick-skinned and hard of hearing.
Yeah,